What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel here from the Geek Speak Nation channel. And, you know, if Isayama keeps it up, he's going to end up like Ridley Scott with Blade Runner, where there's just going to be multiple cuts of the ending of Attack on Titan. And then we're just going to have to argue about which cut is our favorite or which version of the ending is our favorite. So let's see what he keeps doing. But, roll the intro. So, Attack on Titan. Since my last video I made about this, which blew up, thank you all for that, there was a lot to discuss about the ending of Attack on Titan. It was very controversial. I went on record stating that I didn't really like it, but it still didn't sour my overall enjoyment of the series. Those moments that I truly held the most dear and the most precious still really worked for me, and I was still really happy with the end result of what we got with the overall series. But Isayama just he had to come out of left field and said, with volume 34 releasing, we got some extra additional pages to the ending that he just wanted to sprinkle on in there and make the discussion even more messy, it feels like. Over this course of time, over a month since the release of chapter 139, I spent a lot of time reflecting on what the ending meant and its overall message and what it was trying to say. And I spent a lot of time genuinely going through the comments of my last video of people who were defending the ending or really just liked it in general, or saw the flaws in the pacing, but what was trying to be said, they truly felt like it hit home for them. And I tried to look at it from that perspective, and I could see why people really enjoyed this ending. If you kind of look at it in a vacuum of the last two chapters, then I guess it can end up working for you if you ignore a lot of the pacing issues with the chapter and how it doesn't delve too much into some pretty big topics. But I tried to gain an understanding of truly what this ending meant, and at face value, I understand the plethora of ideas that are presented at the ending of life being a cycle, war's never going to end, it's kind of this nihilistic viewpoint that's kind of presented at the end, and these questionable statements about love and abuse that aren't really handled very well. But at the end, I felt like a lot of Isayama's ideas weren't fully fleshed out or stated. So much of the series is very explicit in what it's trying to say about war and the arms race and what it does to people and how it twists people and the power that hatred can hold on a person. A lot of those elements are very explicit in the show, and I feel like the ending and the themes that it tries to present to wrap everything up together feels disembodied from the rest of the series to a certain degree, and that it presents these elements to say that this is what the story was all about the whole entire time in the last two chapters in a very abrupt sort of way. So it's like sitting there and reflecting on chapter 139, I understood what was presented to me. I just didn't vibe with it. I guess is the best way of putting it. And I still didn't feel like I understood or connected what was trying to be said. And with the release of volume 34, this didn't make things any better at all. It really didn't. In these final pages, we get a look at what we presume is an older Mikasa coming back to visit Aaron's grave over the years, and she starts a family and all that stuff. As we look in the background where Aaron's head was planted, the tree grows and grows, And as we look in the background, Paradis is actually, you know, a full functioning cityscape, you know, New York-esque with skyscrapers and all that stuff. And then more and more as time passes, it gets bombed, just essentially gets nuked. The rest of the remaining 20% of humanity banded together in the end, and we're able to create the technology necessary to wipe out Paradis. And then as more and more time passes, the tree has grown even more and looks almost exactly like, if not similar to, the tree that Ymir saw, and where she found the tentacle centipede thingy bobber that gave her the power of the Titan. And we see a child heading towards the same entrance of that tree, just like Ymir did long ago. And at the end of the closing statements, we get a lot of hints that there will be a sequel to Attack on Titan to a certain degree, if you can interpret those words that way. And for surprisingly very few pages, there's a lot to unpack there. It makes you wonder what Eren did all of this for. And I guess you could say he did it to give them a fighting chance, and he would not know the future that would end up being created. But at the same time, it was for not, because Paradis was still inevitably bombed and eradicated, you know, not to a full extent to where they were all dead. Obviously, there's still people who survived by the final chapter. But I just don't get what the point of the story was. And then it's like, okay, you know, the meme's been going on about, I guess we're getting Attack on Titan Shippuden, which is funny, but I really don't want a sequel to this story. I don't know. It was just such a strange choice for those final pages. And the whole entire thing was that Eren got rid of the Titan powers, but they're still around because they never disclosed what happened to the worm. So maybe the worm was still inside of his head or something, or crawled back in his head, or was still around. I don't know what we went on this journey for and what the final conflict was. I guess it was, in a broader sense, we could look at it from the idea that they gained a time of peace where they could just live as humans, and we actually gave birth to children and families who were actually born not being hated as the devils of Paradis, and not being the monsters hunted down. But it doesn't last forever, because eventually, you know, after Mikas's passing, eventually, as the next generation continues, well, they still get attacked anyways. So, what did Eren accomplish, or anyone accomplish? Fascinating. It almost makes me wish that going back, Irwin was the one that survived, instead of Armin when they had the choice with the Colossal Titan Serum, because Irwin would have agreed, and I think that would have made for a more fascinating dichotomy of analyzing Eren's actions. But for those who opposed them, they accomplished momentary peace for what it seems. But that's the thing, it's just a few panels. Like, these are such large concepts with such large implications for the story, the history, the lore, that don't get fully explored because they're only a few panels. So it like, even in and of itself, it feels weird saying definitively this is what the story was about based on the context clues of like 7 silent panels, you know? I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about the ending of Attack on Titan anymore. I don't want a sequel. I'm fine with what we got. But, you know, series printed money. So we're probably going to get a sequel or some form of a continuation. Just based off of the words that were said at the ending as a closing statement. But we'll see how things go. I'm not banking on a Studio Mappa ending, and if it was, it'd probably be Isayama's writing all over it. But yeah, I don't think he needs to add any more to this ending. I think there's still enough for us to discuss and dissect and explore our feelings on, because I've even heard people who like the original ending do not like what was added in the ending, because it even took away the hope people had of like there being a possibility of peace, a long-term peace. Instead it's like, okay, maybe you got a good 30-40 years and then skadoosh, everything got bombed. I don't know, man. I wish I had more in-depth thoughts, but it's just like, it's like my only reaction to these pages are just like, okay, sure. At this point, whatever you say, man, whatever you, that's how I feel. Because like I said, despite my feelings on the ending and these additional chapters, I still absolutely adore Attack on Titan. I still love everything that it made me experience and made me think about my own writing and made me think about as a creative person in general, and where you can take characters and how far you can push them to the edge in order to make them undergo a natural metamorphosis through challenge, through the situations that you put them in. So I still think there's a lot there to explore and dissect in that regard, and it doesn't take away from that. I don't think it's a Game of Thrones style ending. I've been through that. I lived through those years and years of investment with Game of Thrones, and you think at the end you're gonna get served Granny's peach tea, but instead it's just a jar of piss. Boom! That's a Batman v Superman reference. Look at me. So I don't think it sours everything like Game of Thrones does, but I see why other people would feel that way, for sure. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of these additional pages that were added in volume, I believe 34. Could be saying the wrong volume this entire time, of Attack on Titan. Let me know in the comment sections down below. What do you feel about there possibly being a sequel to Attack on Titan? Would that be something you want? No? Ackerman, the next generation? Let me know what you think about that in the comment sections down below, guys. And also, while you're down there, if you like this, whatever it was, make sure you hit that like button. And if you're new here, subscribe to become a part of the Geek Speak Nation channel, and make sure you hit that bell icon and set it to all so you always get notified when I post a new video. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I'm Daniel, and don't forget to get geeky.